Raised bed total 365 days of harvest fun for garden newbies and families. Off to the garden, my darling. This inspiring book invites families to discover the raised bed as a place of shared joy and learning. We share their passion for gardening and encourage parents and children to experience the wonders of nature together. With practical tips and instructions, they show how easy it is to create and maintain a raised bed and how much fun it can be to grow vegetables, herbs and flowers together. From choosing the right plants to caring for and harvesting, this book offers a wealth of information and inspiration for families to get the most out of their raised beds. It is an invitation to experiment, discover and enjoy together, and in doing so create precious memories that will last a lifetime. This book is more than just a gardening book. It is a guide to a shared adventure that brings families closer together and lets them experience the beauty and abundance of nature in a whole new way. What is a raised bed? A raised bed is an elevated growing area for plants, usually made up of a frame filled with soil. It is basically a raised garden bed, often enclosed by a structured construction such as wood, stone or metal. Raised beds can come in a variety of shapes and sizes, from rectangular or square structures to round or oval designs. Typically, a raised bed is placed above ground, meaning it is not placed directly on the ground of the garden. This gives it a number of advantages. Better soil quality. The soil in the raised bed can be controlled and is often richer in nutrients because it can be regularly enriched with compost or other organic materials. Improved drainage. Because a raised bed is elevated, it usually has better drainage than traditional garden beds, which helps prevent waterlogging and promotes root growth. Earlier plant growth. The higher position of the raised bed means the soil warms up faster, which can lead to earlier plant growth in the spring and extend the growing season. Pest barrier. Raised beds can be more easily protected from slugs and other soil-based pests, especially if a net or cover is placed over the bed. Easier gardening. Due to its elevated position, working in a raised bed requires less bending and can therefore be easier for people with back problems or mobility issues. Why a raised bed in the garden? There are several reasons why a raised bed can be a worthwhile addition to your garden. Improved soil quality. A raised bed allows you to have complete control over the quality of the soil. You can optimize the composition of the soil by enriching it with rich compost and other organic materials. This results in fertile and nutrient-rich soil that promotes the growth of your plants. Better drainage. The raised bed's elevated position allows water to drain better, preventing waterlogging and root rot. This is particularly beneficial in areas with heavy soil or in regions with heavy rainfall. Earlier plant growth. Because a raised bed is above the ground, the soil warms up more quickly in the spring. This allows you to start planting earlier in the year and extend the growing season, which can result in a larger harvest. Space saving. Raised beds allow you to make intensive use of the available space, as you can grow plants closer together without them disturbing each other. This is especially useful in small gardens or on balconies where space is limited. Protection from pests. Because raised beds are elevated, they are less susceptible to pests that attack from the ground, such as slugs or certain soil-dwelling insects. They can also be more easily protected with netting or coverings to keep plants from birds or rodents. Comfortable gardening. The raised bed's elevated position means you have to bend down less, making planting, tending and harvesting easier. This can be particularly beneficial for older people or those with back problems. Raised bed offers numerous benefits and can be an excellent way to optimize your garden and promote plant growth. Spring in the raised bed. In spring, the garden awakens from its winter sleep, and the raised bed provides an ideal environment for the first tender shoots to sprout. Here are some important aspects for gardening in raised beds in spring. Preparing the raised bed in spring. Check the condition of the raised bed and remove any possible overwintering traces of pests or weeds. Gently loosen the top layer of soil to prepare it for sowing. If necessary, add fresh compost or organic fertilizer to increase soil nutrient levels. Sowing and growing spring crops. Choose vegetables suitable for spring such as radishes, spinach, lettuce, arugula, kohlrabi and spring onions. Note the recommended sowing times and depths for each plant species and plant the seeds accordingly in the prepared raised bed. Consider the distance between plants to ensure enough room for their growth. Care and watering in spring. Keep the raised bed moist, but avoid waterlogging by ensuring adequate drainage. Regularly check for weed growth and remove them to give plants more space and nutrients. Check plants for signs of pests or diseases and take appropriate action if necessary. Harvesting spring treasures. Start harvesting as soon as the plants have grown sufficiently and the first leaves or fruits are ripe. Harvest regularly to make room for new plants and ensure that remaining plants have enough space and nutrients to continue growing. With careful planning and care, you can enjoy a bountiful harvest from your raised bed in spring and admire the fresh green and bright colors of the first vegetables of the year. Summer diversity in the raised bed. Raised bed reaches its peak in variety and productivity. Here are some key points to get the most out of your raised bed during the warm summer months. Caring for the raised bed in summer. Pay special attention to adequate watering, as plants in raised beds can dry out quickly during the summer heat. It is important to keep the moisture in the soil constant to ensure healthy plant growth. Mulch the raised bed to help retain moisture and reduce weed growth. A layer of straw, grass clippings or composted material will help keep the soil cool and retain moisture. Check regularly for pests such as aphids, whiteflies or caterpillars, which can be particularly active in summer. Early intervention can help prevent major damage. Watering tips for the hot months. Water the raised bed early in the morning or late in the evening to minimize evaporation losses and give the roots enough time to absorb water. Avoid wetting the leaves of the plants as this can increase the risk of fungal diseases. Instead, water directly on the soil around the plants. Invest in an irrigation system, such as drip irrigation or a hose with a fine spray head, to ensure even and efficient watering. Summer vegetables and their care. Take advantage of the warm temperatures to grow a variety of summer vegetables, including tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, zucchini, eggplant, beans and various herbs. Be sure to harvest regularly to encourage plant growth and make room for new fruit. Remove overripe or rotten fruit to reduce the risk of disease. Harvest happiness in summer. Enjoy the rich harvest from your raised bed and spoil yourself with fresh, healthy and delicious summer vegetables and herbs. Share your harvest with family, friends and neighbors and spread the joy and enjoyment of homegrown food. With good care and a little attention, you can harvest a lush variety of vegetables and herbs from your raised bed in summer and enjoy the true taste and freshness of the seasonal harvest. Autumn harvest time in the raised bed. Fall is a time of abundance in raised beds, when many vegetables are at their peak and ready for harvest. Here are some key aspects to getting the most out of your raised bed during the fall harvest season. Preparing the raised bed for autumn. Gradually remove harvested plants and weeds to make room for new seedlings and to clean the raised bed. Check the condition of the soil and add compost or organic fertilizer if necessary to improve the nutrient supply for fall crops. Autumn plant selection and cultivation. For fall, choose vegetables that tolerate cooler weather and grow more slowly, such as carrots, beets, chard, kale, spinach, lamb's lettuce and various types of cabbage. Plant seedlings or sow seeds according to the instructions on the packet, spacing plants sufficiently to allow room for growth. Protective measures against cold and frost. As temperatures can drop in autumn, it is important to protect your plants from frost. If necessary, use frost protection fleece to protect them from severe frosts or build a temporary greenhouse over the raised bed. Remove fallen leaves and plant debris regularly to reduce the risk of mold and pest infestation. Harvest joys in autumn. Start harvesting as soon as the plants are sufficiently grown and mature. Depending on the variety, you can start harvesting fall vegetables as early as late summer or early fall. Harvest regularly to make room for new seedlings and ensure that remaining plants have enough space and nutrients to continue growing. Fall is a wonderful time of year to reap the fruits of your labor in the raised bed and enjoy the delicious flavors and nutrients of the autumn harvest. With a little planning and care, you can harvest a rich variety of vegetables and herbs from your raised bed in the fall and enjoy the taste of the season to the fullest. Winter raised bed. Even in winter, the raised bed can provide a rich harvest and joy, especially if you grow hardy vegetables. Here are some important aspects for gardening in winter raised beds. Winterizing. Preparing for the cold season. Before winter sets in, check the condition of your raised bed and make any necessary repairs to ensure it is winter-proof. Make sure the raised bed is adequately insulated to protect the roots of the plants from frost. This can be achieved by adding a layer of straw or leaves around the raised bed. Consider the location of the raised bed and exposure to cold winds. If necessary, you can install additional barriers or windbreaks to protect the plants. Growing winter vegetables in raised beds. Choose hardy vegetables that thrive even in cool temperatures, such as kale, lamb's lettuce, winter purslane, beets, carrots, parsnips and leeks. Plant seedlings or sow seeds according to the instructions on the packet, making sure the plants have enough room to spread and grow. Protective measures against frost and snow. Cover the raised bed with frost protection fleece or foil to protect the plants from the cold. Make sure that the cover does not weigh the plants down too much or restrict their air supply. When snow or ice occurs, carefully remove the snow or ice from the raised bed cover to prevent the plants from being damaged under the weight. Harvesting in winter and winter care of the raised bed. Enjoy the bountiful harvest from your winter raised bed and harvest regularly to make room for new plants and ensure that the remaining plants have enough space and nutrients to continue growing. Regularly check the condition of the raised bed and inspect the plants for signs of disease or pests. Take appropriate measures if necessary to maintain the health of your plants. Even in winter, the raised bed can provide an abundance of fresh vegetables and herbs and give you the opportunity to enjoy the joy of gardening all year round. With a little planning and care, you can achieve a successful harvest from your winter raised bed even in the cold season. The fascination of the raised bed. The appeal of the raised bed lies in its versatility and efficiency as a gardening tool. A raised bed offers numerous advantages over traditional beds or planters. The raised bed's elevated position allows for better control over the soil and environmental conditions, resulting in healthier plants and higher yields. In addition, the raised bed offers an ergonomic way of working as it allows planting, tending and harvesting in an upright position, which reduces back pain and strain. The structure of the raised bed also allows for better water and nutrient retention in the soil, resulting in less water consumption and fertilizer requirements. Another important aspect of the fascination of the raised bed is its adaptability to different environments and conditions. Whether in small urban oases, on balconies, in backyards or even in community gardens, raised beds can be used anywhere and allow people with limited space to grow their own vegetables. The ability to grow different types of plants in a raised bed and even create different layers for different needs makes it an extremely flexible and creative gardening tool. From herbs to vegetables to flowers, raised beds can accommodate a wide range of plants and provide gardening enthusiasts with a bountiful harvest and aesthetic delight. Overall, the appeal of raised beds is a combination of practical benefits, creative possibilities, and the joy of gardening that appeals to people of all ages and backgrounds. It's a way to strengthen your connection to nature, grow healthy food, and develop your green thumb. Why a good raised bed is important. Why should you strive for the perfect raised bed? This question can be answered by a number of advantages that a well-planned and maintained raised bed offers. Optimal plant growth. The perfect raised bed provides optimal conditions for plant growth. By controlling soil quality, irrigation and other environmental factors, plants can grow healthier and produce higher yields. Efficient use of space. Raised beds allow for efficient use of available space. The vertical structure allows more plants to be grown in a smaller area, which is particularly beneficial in urban environments where space is limited. Ergonomics and comfort. A well-designed raised bed can make gardening easier because it can be raised to a comfortable working height. This reduces strain on the back and joints and makes gardening more enjoyable and accessible for people of all ages. Environmental friendliness. Raised beds can be made environmentally friendly by using recycled materials and by adopting sustainable growing practices such as composting and mulching. They also allow for more efficient use of water and nutrients, resulting in less waste. Aesthetics and variety. A perfect raised bed can not only be functional but also aesthetically pleasing. The variety of plants, colors and textures in a raised bed can create an attractive focal point in the garden and increase the joy of gardening. Basics of raised bed planning. Planning a raised bed is the first and crucial step to the success of your gardening project. Here are some basic considerations to take into account when planning a raised bed. Choosing a location. Choose a location for your raised bed that receives at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight per day. Avoid shady areas or places with strong winds as this can affect plant growth. Size and height of the raised bed. Decide on the size and height of your raised bed based on your needs and available space. A raised bed should be at least 30 centimeters deep to provide enough space for the roots of the plants. The width can vary depending on your preferences, but should be around 1 to 1.2 meters for easy access from all sides. Materials and construction. Choose the materials to build your raised bed carefully. Common options include wood, stone, concrete, or even recycled materials like pallets or old bricks. Make sure the materials are non-toxic and durable to ensure long-term use. Soil quality. Consider the quality of the soil you plan to use for your raised bed. Ideally, the soil should have good drainage and a balanced nutrient composition. You can use commercially available raised bed soil or make your own mix using compost, garden soil and other organic materials. Accessibility and maintenance. When placing your raised bed, think about accessibility for maintenance and harvesting. Make sure there is enough space around the raised bed to work comfortably. You should also consider the possibility of installing protection against pests such as slugs or rodents. Choice of location. Choosing the right location for your raised bed is crucial to the growth and health of your plants. Here are some important considerations for choosing a location. Sunlight. Choose a location that receives at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight per day. Plants need light to photosynthesize and produce food. A sunny location promotes healthy growth and a bountiful harvest. Protection from strong winds. Avoid locations exposed to strong winds as this can damage or dry out your plants. If possible, choose a sheltered area in your garden or use windbreaks such as fences or hedges. Soil quality. Examine the soil at your site to ensure it is suitable for growing plants. Ideally, the soil should be well drained to avoid waterlogging and contain a sufficient amount of organic materials to encourage plant growth. Water supply. Make sure your raised bed is located near a water source to allow for easy watering. A consistent and adequate water supply is crucial for plant growth, especially during the dry summer months. Accessibility. Consider the accessibility of the site for maintenance and harvesting. A location close to your home or patio will make it easier for you to regularly monitor and maintain your raised bed. Environmental factors. Also consider other environmental factors such as shade from surrounding trees or buildings, possible pests or neighbors that may affect your plants. By keeping these considerations in mind when choosing the location for your raised bed, you can create the best conditions for a successful gardening project. A well-chosen location promotes healthy plant growth, makes maintenance easier, and ensures a bountiful harvest. Size and height of the raised bed. The size and height of your raised bed are critical factors in the success of your gardening project. Here are some important considerations for determining the optimal size and height. Growing conditions. Consider the needs of your plants as well as your own preferences when determining the size of the raised bed. Larger raised beds provide more room for a variety of plants and allow for a larger harvest. However, smaller raised beds are easier to maintain and may be a better fit for your available space. Growing space. The width and length of your raised bed will determine the growing space you have available. Make sure the raised bed is large enough to grow the plants you want, while also considering the space needed for pathways or access to the raised bed. Height of the raised bed. The height of the raised bed affects the root depth of your plants as well as the ergonomics of gardening. A raised bed should be at least 30 centimeters deep to provide adequate space for the roots and ensure good drainage. However, higher raised beds can provide better accessibility and reduce bending when gardening. Materials and construction. The choice of materials and construction of your raised bed can also affect the size and height. Wood, concrete blocks or other building materials can come in different heights and sizes or can be customized to meet your specific needs. Aesthetics and design. Consider aesthetic aspects when determining the size and height of your raised bed. A well-proportioned raised bed can not only be functional, but can also visually enhance your garden and contribute to the overall design. By keeping these considerations in mind regarding the size and height of your raised bed, you can create a raised bed that suits your needs and garden style. Careful planning in advance can help ensure a successful gardening project and give you a bountiful harvest. Which raised bed is suitable for a terrace? For a 30-meter raised to the power of 2 patio, you can use one or more raised beds of different sizes and shapes, depending on your preferences and needs. Here are some considerations for the size and layout of raised beds on a 30-meter raised to the power of 2 patio. A large raised bed. You could choose a single large raised bed that takes up a significant portion of your patio. For example, depending on the space available, you could choose a raised bed with dimensions of 2.5 meters long x 1.2 meters wide and a depth of around 60 centimeters. This would give you a considerable growing area while also allowing enough space for pathways around the raised bed. Multiple smaller raised beds. Alternatively, you could opt for multiple smaller raised beds spread across the patio. For example, you could place 2 or 3 raised beds, each approximately 1.2 meters long x 1 meter wide and 30-40 cm deep. These could be placed either next to each other or in different corners of the patio to create a versatile and aesthetically pleasing garden area. Combining raised beds with other garden elements. You could also combine raised beds with other garden structures such as planters, trellises or garden furniture to achieve a versatile and feature-rich patio design. By cleverly incorporating raised beds into your patio landscape, you can make the most of your limited space and create an attractive and productive garden space. Regardless of the option you choose, it is important to consider the proportions and flow of space on your patio to create a harmonious and functional garden area. Where are there raised beds on roofs? Raised beds on rooftops in London are often an extremely effective use of limited space in urban environments. These raised beds vary in size, shape and materials, but are often designed to meet the specific needs and constraints of rooftop gardens. Here are some common features and material options for raised beds on rooftops. Modular construction. Many rooftop raised beds are designed to be modular, meaning they are made up of individual modules that are easy to transport and install. These modules can often come in different sizes and shapes, allowing the raised bed to be customized to fit the existing roof space. Lightweight materials. Due to the weight limitations of rooftop gardens, raised beds are often made from lightweight materials that don't add too much extra weight to the building's structures. Popular material options include wood composites, plastics, galvanized steel or aluminum, among others. Built-in irrigation systems. Many rooftop raised garden beds have built-in irrigation systems to facilitate watering and optimize water usage. These may include automatic drip irrigation systems or simpler options such as irrigation channels along the raised bed edges. Drainage. Adequate drainage is especially important for raised beds on roofs to prevent waterlogging and reduce the risk of flooding or structural damage. Raised beds can be fitted with perforated inserts, gravel or crushed stone bedding or special drainage layers to drain away excess water. Easy assembly and maintenance. Because rooftop gardens are often difficult to access, raised beds are designed to be easy to assemble, maintain and harvest. This may include the use of prefabricated components, easily removable side walls or hinged lids that make it easier to access the plants. Overall, raised beds on rooftops in London are a practical and attractive way to make the most of limited space in urban environments while improving the quality of life. By choosing the right materials and design features, you can design a raised bed that suits your individual needs and the specific conditions of your rooftop garden. Materials and tools for raised bed construction. When choosing materials and tools to build a raised bed, there are several options depending on your preferences, budget, and available resources. Here are some common materials and tools that can be used to build a raised bed. Wood. Wood is a popular material for building raised beds because it is affordable, durable, and easy to work with. Common types of wood for raised beds include cedar, Douglas fir, larch, or pressure-treated pine. For longer durability, use wood that is rated for outdoor use and treated to resist rot. Stone. Natural stones or concrete blocks can be used to build sturdy and durable raised beds. Stone raised beds offer a natural aesthetic and can be created in a variety of designs and sizes. However, they often require more effort and labor to build compared to other materials. Metal. Metal raised beds, made from galvanized steel or aluminum, are a modern and durable option. They are resistant to rot and can come in a variety of styles and colors. However, metal raised beds can be more expensive and require good insulation to prevent roots from overheating in the summer. Plastic. Plastic raised beds are lightweight, inexpensive and easy to assemble. They are often made from recycled plastic and can come in a variety of colors and designs. However, plastic raised beds often have a limited lifespan and can be damaged over time by UV rays or extreme temperatures. Tools. To build a raised bed, you will need basic tools such as a saw, drill, screwdriver, hammer, and spirit level. Additional tools such as a shovel, trowel, spade, and ruler may also be useful depending on the material you are using for your raised bed. Protective materials. Remember to also use protective materials such as weed control fabric, garden fleece or wire mesh to protect your raised bed from weeds, pests or rodents. By choosing the right materials and tools to build your raised bed, you can create a sturdy, durable and functional garden bed that will bring you years of enjoyment. Recyclable material for raised bed construction. There are a variety of recyclable materials that you can use to build your raised bed. Not only are these materials environmentally friendly, but they can also be inexpensive or even available for free. Here are some recyclable materials that can be used to build a raised bed. Wooden pallets. Old wooden pallets are a common and versatile choice for building raised beds. You can disassemble the pallets and use the individual boards to form the side walls and bottom of your raised bed. Make sure the pallets are non-toxic and have not been treated to avoid contaminating your plants. Recycled wood panels. Old wood panels or leftover lumber can also be used to build a raised bed. These can often be obtained free of charge or inexpensively from hardware stores, construction sites or dismantling companies. Make sure that the wood has not been treated and is free of harmful substances. Concrete blocks. Concrete blocks or bricks can be used to build sturdy and durable raised beds. You can stack the blocks to achieve the desired height and shape and fix them with mortar or concrete to stabilize the structure. Steel or metal containers. Old bathtubs, zinc bowls, metal drums or other containers can be converted into raised beds by filling them with soil and using them as planters. Make sure the container is made of non-toxic material and has enough holes in the bottom to ensure good drainage. Recycled plastics. Plastic containers, buckets, tubs or boxes can be used as raised beds by filling them with soil and using them as planters. Make sure the plastic is food grade and non-toxic to ensure a safe growing environment. By using recyclable materials to build your raised bed, you can not only reduce your carbon footprint, but also create a gardening space in a creative and cost-effective way. However, be careful when selecting and using recycled materials to ensure they are suitable for growing plants and free from contaminants. Unusual ideas for raised beds. There are a variety of creative and unconventional raised bed ideas in London that make the most of limited space while creating aesthetically pleasing garden features. Here are some unusual raised bed ideas in London. Vertical raised beds. Vertical raised beds are a space-saving option for urban environments like London. These can be attached to walls, fences or railings and provide a vertical growing area for a variety of plants. Vertical raised beds can be made from recycled materials such as pallets, old shelving or vertical planting systems. Raised beds on wheels. Mobile raised beds on wheels are a practical option for city dwellers in London who want to vary their garden location. These raised beds can be easily moved, allowing you to place them in different areas of your garden or patio as needed. They can be made from wood, metal or recycled materials and come in a variety of sizes and shapes. Rooftop garden raised beds. Rooftop gardens are common in London, and raised beds are a popular option for rooftop gardening. These raised beds can be installed in special containers or frames adapted to the specific requirements of rooftop gardens. They can also be fitted with additional features such as automatic watering systems, solar lighting or seating to create a multifunctional and aesthetic garden landscape. Aquaponics raised beds. Aquaponics is a sustainable farming method that uses fish and plants to interact in a closed-loop system. Aquaponics raised beds combine raised beds with aquaculture containers to create an efficient and resource-efficient method of gardening. These raised beds can be used both indoors and outdoors in London and provide a bountiful harvest of vegetables and fish. Artistic raised beds. London is home to many artistic and creative raised beds that serve as art installations or public artworks. These raised beds can be designed with sculptural elements, mosaics, graffiti or other art techniques to create a unique and inspiring garden space. They can also serve as a gathering place for community gardens or public events, helping to improve the quality of life in urban areas. Upcycled raised beds. Use recycled materials such as old car tires, barrels, pallets or concrete pipes to create unique raised beds. These materials can be obtained for free or inexpensively and will add a rustic and industrial charm to your garden. Community gardens. Establish community gardens consisting of multiple raised beds maintained by different members of the community. These raised beds can be placed in public parks, schoolyards, community centers or vacant lots and serve as a gathering place for neighborhoods to collaborate and grow fresh vegetables. Raised beds on wheels. Create mobile raised beds on wheels that can be moved around the city and displayed in different neighborhoods or events. These raised beds can be made from lightweight materials such as wood, plastic or metal and allow you to change your garden location as needed and display your harvest. Urban farming raised beds. Create larger raised beds or community gardens in urban settings that serve as part of an urban farming project. These raised beds can be placed in community gardens, on vacant lots, in backyards or on rooftop gardens and grow a variety of vegetables, herbs and fruits. Raised beds made from old furniture. Use old pieces of furniture such as dressers, cabinets or tables to create unique raised beds. These pieces of furniture can be converted and filled with soil to serve as planters and create a rustic and individual garden space. Raised beds in public spaces. Place raised beds in public parks, squares or streets to create green spaces and improve the quality of life in the city. These raised beds can be maintained by the community and serve as a gathering place for neighbors to collaborate and grow vegetables. Art and culture raised beds. Design raised beds as artistic and cultural installations that reflect the diversity and creativity of Berlin. These raised beds can be decorated with sculptures, mosaics, graffiti or other art techniques and serve as public artworks that beautify the urban landscape. Raised beds for schools and educational institutions. Set up raised beds in schoolyards, kindergartens or educational institutions to introduce children and young people to growing vegetables and herbs. These raised beds can serve as an educational tool and teach students the importance of healthy eating and sustainable agriculture. Self-sustaining raised beds. Use permaculture principles to create raised beds that are largely self-sustaining and can be operated sustainably. These raised beds can include a variety of plants, composting areas, rainwater collectors and beneficial insect habitats, creating an ecological and sustainable garden landscape. Step-by-step assembly instructions. Here is a step-by-step guide to building a raised bed. Step 1. Site selection and preparation. Choose a sunny location with good drainage for your raised bed. Remove weeds, stones and other obstacles from the ground. Step 2. Determining the size and shape. Decide how big and what shape your raised bed should be. Consider the availability of materials and the available space. Step 3. Procurement of materials. Gather the necessary materials such as wooden boards, screws, nails, fuel, for the floor, garden soil and compost. Step 4. Building the frame. Cut the wooden boards according to the desired size of the raised bed. Assemble the wooden boards into a rectangular or square frame using screws or nails. Make sure the frame is stable and straight. Step 5. Installing the floor. Cover the bottom of the raised bed with a layer of foil to prevent water from seeping through. Fill the bottom of the raised bed with a mixture of garden soil and compost. Make sure that the soil is evenly distributed and that there are no voids. Step 6. Filling the raised bed. Fill the raised bed with a mixture of high-quality garden soil and rich compost. Avoid compacted soils and make sure the soil is loose and well drained. Step 7. Plant selection and planting. Choose the plants you want to grow in your raised bed, taking into account the location, sunlight and available space. Raised bed according to the recommended spacing and depth. Step 8. Watering and care. Keep the raised bed moist regularly, but not too wet. Remove weeds. Fertilize plants as needed, and watch for pests or diseases. Step 9. Harvest and enjoy. Harvest your plants as soon as they are ripe and enjoy the fresh, healthy produce from your own raised bed. Be sure to maintain the raised bed after harvest and prepare it for the next growing season. With these step-by-step instructions, you can successfully build your own raised bed and enjoy a rich harvest of vegetables, herbs or flowers. Preparation of the substrate. Preparing the subsoil is an important step in building a raised bed to ensure a stable base and good drainage. Here is a guide to preparing the subsoil for your raised bed. Step 1. Site selection. Choose a suitable location for your raised bed that receives enough sunlight and allows good air circulation. Make sure the ground is level and stable to prevent the raised bed from slipping or sinking. Step 2. Mark the base. Mark the outline of the raised bed using stakes or a string to determine the exact position and size. Use a spirit level to make sure the marked area is level. Step 3. Remove weeds and grass. Remove weeds, grass and other vegetation from the marked area. Dig the soil about 10-15 centimeters deep to create a level surface and make room for the base. Step 4. Leveling and compacting the soil. Use a shovel or digging fork to loosen the soil and remove any large clumps or stones. Compact the soil evenly with a vibrator or hand tamper to create a firm and stable base for the raised bed. Step 5. Laying a drainage layer. Optional. Place a layer of coarse gravel or chippings on the prepared subsoil to improve drainage and prevent waterlogging. Distribute the drainage layer evenly over the entire surface of the raised bed. Step 6. Installation of a root barrier. Optional. If you want, you can install a root barrier made of plastic film or root barrier fleece along the inner walls of the raised bed to prevent roots from penetrating the soil. After preparing the ground, your raised bed is ready for building the frame and filling it with soil. Careful preparation of the ground ensures a stable base for your raised bed and promotes healthy plant growth. Construction of the frame. Constructing the frame is a crucial step in building a raised bed as it ensures the structure and stability of the entire bed. Here is a guide to constructing the frame for your raised bed. Step 1. Material procurement and preparation. Gather the materials needed for the frame, such as wooden boards, screws or nails, a saw, a drill and a spirit level. Measure the dimensions of your raised bed carefully and cut the wooden boards to the desired size. Step 2. Assembling the side panels. Lay out the wooden boards according to the chosen shape of the raised bed and make sure they are evenly aligned. Connect the side pieces together using screws or nails. Make sure that the corners are square and that the side pieces are firmly connected to each other. Step 3. Reinforcing the corners. Optional. To improve the stability of the frame, you can attach metal brackets or corner connectors to the corners of the raised bed. Attach the reinforcements with screws or nails to ensure they are secure and stabilize the corners of the frame. Step 4. Ground anchoring. Optional. To further stabilize the frame of the raised bed, you can concrete wooden posts or metal supports into the ground and attach the frame to them. Make sure the ground anchors are firmly anchored into the ground and hold the frame securely. Step 5. Check alignment and stability. Use a spirit level to check the alignment and level of the frame to make sure it is straight and stable. Make adjustments as necessary to ensure the frame is even and stable. After constructing the frame, your raised bed is ready to be filled with soil and planted. A solid and stable frame construction is crucial to the longevity and functionality of your raised bed, so it is important to carry out this step carefully. Filling the raised bed. Filling your raised bed correctly is crucial for the healthy growth of your plants. Here are instructions on how to fill your raised bed. Step 1. Layers for optimal drainage. Start with a layer of coarse material at the bottom of the raised bed, such as gravel, stones or coarse mulch material. This layer improves drainage and prevents waterlogging in the raised bed. Step 2. Applying a separating layer. Optional. Place a separating layer of weed fleece or cardboard over the coarse drainage layer to prevent weeds from growing from the soil into the raised bed. Step 3. Adding organic materials. Add a layer of organic materials such as compost, rotted leaves, grass clippings or manure. These materials will provide nutrients to your plants and improve soil structure. Step 4. Adding garden soil. Fill the raised bed to the brim with high-quality garden soil. Use a mixture of potting soil, compost and other organic materials to create a fertile and nutrient-rich growing base. Step 5. Even distribution and compaction. Spread the soil evenly in the raised bed and press it down lightly to create an even surface. Be careful not to compact the soil too tightly to ensure aeration and permeability of the soil. Step 6. Conclusion. Check that the raised bed is evenly filled and that the soil layer is at an appropriate height. Add more soil if necessary to ensure the raised bed is completely filled. After you have filled the raised bed, it is ready for planting. Completion and maintenance. After you have built and filled your raised bed, finishing work and regular maintenance are crucial to ensure your plants grow healthy and produce a bountiful harvest. Here are some important finishing work and maintenance for your raised bed. Step 1. Watering. Make sure your raised bed is watered regularly and adequately, especially during dry periods. However, avoid waterlogging the soil as this can lead to root rot. Step 2. Weed control. Keep your raised bed weed-free by regularly weeding or using mulch to suppress weed growth, giving your plants more space, nutrients and water. Step 3. Fertilization. Fertilize your raised bed regularly with organic fertilizer to support the nutrient supply of your plants. Avoid over-fertilizing as this can lead to a buildup of salts in the soil. Step 4. Pest and disease control. Monitor your raised bed regularly for pests and diseases. Remove affected plant parts and use biological or organic pesticides if necessary. Step 5. Mulching. Use mulching material such as straw, grass clippings or leaves to retain moisture in the soil, suppress weed growth and improve soil structure. Step 6. Harvesting and replanting. Regularly harvest your plants as soon as they are mature to make room for new plants and allow for a continuous harvest. Replant as needed to ensure your raised bed remains continually productive. Step 7. Winter care. If necessary, protect your raised bed from frost in winter by covering it with a cover or fleece or by bringing frost-sensitive plants indoors. In spring, remove all dead plant debris and loosen the soil to prepare it for the new growing season. New technologies from around the world. Square-foot gardening. This method, developed by Mel Bartholomew, allows you to make the most of small garden spaces by dividing the garden into even squares. This concept is particularly well suited to raised beds as it allows for efficient use of space and minimizes weed growth. Hugelkultur. This method, which originated in Eastern Europe, is becoming increasingly popular in the United States. It involves building up organic materials such as wood, twigs and leaves in layers to create a raised bed area. The decomposition of these materials provides nutrients to the soil and improves soil structure. Aquaponics. Aquaponics is a sustainable farming system that combines aquaculture with hydroponics. Fish are bred in a tank, the wastewater from which is then used as nutrients for plants in a raised bed. This innovative technique makes it possible to grow both fish and plants in a closed-loop system. Vertical gardening. Vertical gardens are becoming increasingly popular, especially in urban areas where space is limited. This technique involves growing plants in vertical structures such as trellises, shelves or hanging pockets. Vertical raised beds can grow a variety of plants in a small area and are an efficient use of vertical space. Intensive cultivation techniques. Intensive cultivation techniques such as raised row gardening or intensive spacing allows you to grow a large amount of plants in a small space. These methods require careful planning and maintenance, but can result in increased yields and efficient use of space. Raised bed technologies. Modern raised bed technologies combine innovation and sustainability to make growing crops more efficient, productive and environmentally friendly. Here are some modern raised bed technologies in use today. Automatic irrigation systems. These systems allow the irrigation of raised beds to be controlled and optimized automatically. They can be equipped with sensors that monitor the moisture content of the soil and adjust the irrigation accordingly. This saves water and ensures that the plants receive a consistent supply of moisture. Smart gardening apps. There are a variety of gardening apps that allow you to plan, track and optimize your raised bed gardening. These apps offer features such as plant recommendations, watering and fertilizing reminders, and the ability to track and share garden progress. Raised beds with integrated composting system. These raised beds are equipped with a built-in composting system that allows organic waste to be composted on site and the resulting compost soil to be integrated directly into the raised bed. This promotes soil health and reduces the need for external fertilizer. Vertical raised beds with hydroponic growing. Vertical raised beds combine the space savings of vertical gardening with the benefits of hydroponic growing. These systems allow a variety of plants to be grown in a small space without the need for soil by growing the plants in a water-based nutrient mixture. Self-regulating raised beds. Some modern raised beds are equipped with self-regulating systems that allow the temperature, humidity and ventilation of the raised bed to be controlled automatically. This promotes optimal plant growth and reduces the need for manual maintenance. Raised beds with solar technology. Raised beds can be equipped with solar technology to support the energy supply for irrigation systems, lighting or other functions. Solar technology enables an environmentally friendly and sustainable energy supply for modern raised bed systems. These modern raised bed technologies offer innovative solutions to gardening challenges and make it possible to grow crops more efficiently, productively and environmentally friendly. By learning about these technologies and applying them to your own garden, you can promote a bountiful harvest and a healthy garden landscape. The right planting for raised beds. Proper planting is crucial to the success of your raised bed. By choosing and arranging plants, you can create a diverse and productive garden landscape. Here are some tips for properly planting your raised bed. Consider space requirements. Make sure you choose plants that fit the space available in your raised bed. Consider the space required by mature plants and leave enough space between each plant to avoid overgrowth. Mix different types of plants. To promote the diversity and health of your raised bed, mix different types of plants together. For example, combine vegetables, herbs, flowers and berry bushes to create different heights, colors and textures. Consider complementary planting. Take advantage of complementary planting by choosing plants that complement and support each other. For example, certain plants may repel pests or improve soil, while others may balance soil nutrients or provide better air circulation. Consider the needs of the plants. Choose plants that suit the climatic conditions and light levels of your location. Pay attention to the specific requirements of each plant species in terms of sunlight, watering, soil conditions and temperature. Plan the arrangement of plants. When arranging plants, consider their height, width and root depth. Place taller plants at the back of the raised bed to ensure good visibility and light, and leave low-growing plants in the front or along the edges of the raised bed. Consider rotational cultivation to maintain soil fertility and prevent diseases or pests. Practice rotational cultivation by growing the plants in different places in the raised bed each year. By following these tips and carefully selecting and arranging plants, you can ensure that your raised bed provides a diverse and healthy garden landscape and produces a bountiful harvest. Selection of suitable plants. Choosing suitable plants for your raised bed depends on several factors, including location, climate, available sunlight, and personal preference. Here are some popular types of plants that are well suited to growing in raised beds. Vegetables. Tomatoes. A variety of tomato varieties thrive in raised beds and require sufficient sunlight and regular watering. Lettuce. Leaf lettuces such as lettuce, romaine lettuce and lamb's lettuce are ideal for raised beds because they require little space and grow quickly. Carrots. Carrots grow well in deep raised beds and require loose, well-drained soil. Zucchini. Zucchini are productive plants that require plenty of space and good ventilation for healthy growth. Herbs. Basil. This aromatic herb thrives in raised beds and needs plenty of sun and regular watering. Parsley. A versatile herb that is easy to grow in raised beds and requires consistent pruning to keep growing. Thyme. Thyme is a robust herb that thrives in raised beds and requires little care. Mint. Mint can be grown well in raised beds as it tends to spread quickly. Flowers. Marigolds. These colorful flowers are not only beautiful to look at, but also attract beneficial insects and aid pollination. Tagetes. Tagetes are hardy flowers that can keep pests away and encourage the growth of other plants. Nasturtium. Nasturtium is an edible flower that blooms profusely and can repel pests. Pansies. These hardy flowers are ideal for raised beds because they can thrive even in cooler weather. Berry bushes. Strawberries. Strawberries do well in raised beds and can be grown either in hanging baskets or on raised beds. Raspberries. Raspberries require plenty of sunlight and can be grown in raised beds by attaching them to supports or trellises. When choosing plants for your raised bed, it's important to consider the needs of each plant species and make sure they work well together. By combining different plant species, you can create a diverse and productive garden landscape that promotes bountiful harvests and a healthy environment. Vegetables for a raised bed. Tomatoes. Versatile and popular for growing in raised beds, provided they receive sufficient sunlight and regular watering. Lettuce. Leafy salads such as lettuce, romaine lettuce and lamb's lettuce grow well in raised beds and are easy to grow. Carrots. These root vegetables thrive in deep raised beds and require loose, well-drained soil. Zucchini. Productive plants that require plenty of space and good ventilation for healthy growth. Cucumbers. Climbing cucumber plants grow well in raised beds and can be trained up trellises or supports. Peppers. These warm weather-loving plants thrive in raised beds and require full sun and regular watering. Peas. Climbing pea plants can be grown in raised beds by attaching them to trellises or supports. Radishes. Fast-growing root vegetables that thrive in raised beds and require little space. Spinach. This leafy vegetable grows well in raised beds and is rich in nutrients. Kohlrabi. This cruciferous vegetable can be grown well in raised beds and requires sufficient space for the tuber to develop. Broccoli. A demanding vegetable that requires plenty of sunlight and does well in raised beds. Swiss chard. This hardy leafy vegetable grows well in raised beds and can be harvested over a longer period of time. Leek. This aromatic vegetable requires plenty of sunlight and well-drained soil for healthy growth. Celery. A demanding vegetable that grows well in deep raised beds and requires regular watering. Beetroot. This root vegetable grows well in raised beds and requires loose soil for the development of the tubers. Fennel. This aromatic vegetable requires plenty of sunlight and well-drained soil for healthy growth. Cabbage. Various varieties of cabbage, such as white cabbage, red cabbage or Savoy cabbage, can be grown well in raised beds and require sufficient space for the heads to develop. Artichokes. This perennial vegetable grows well in deep raised beds and requires plenty of sunlight. Asparagus. Perennial vegetable that grows well in deep raised beds and requires well-drained soil. Eggplant. This heat-loving vegetable grows well in raised beds and requires full sun and regular watering. Mixed culture and optimal placement. Intercropping and optimal plant placement in your raised bed can help your plants grow better, be healthier, and produce a higher yield. Here are some tips for successful intercropping and placement. Choose complementary plants. Choose plants that complement and support each other. For example, some plants may repel pests, improve soil, or balance soil nutrients, while others promote growth or use space effectively. Consider growth and space needs. Make sure you plant plants with similar growth needs together. Make sure larger plants don't overgrow smaller plants and that each plant has enough space for its root system. Utilize vertical growth. Take advantage of the vertical dimension of your raised bed by planting climbing plants on trellises, or other vertical structures. This will maximize the available space and improve ventilation for your plants. Practice rotational cropping. Avoid growing plants of the same family or nutrient needs in the same spot in the raised bed. Instead, practice rotational cropping by changing the position of plants each year to avoid soil fatigue and promote soil health. Consider cross-cultural compatibility. Make sure you plant plants with similar needs and compatibility together. Some types of plants can benefit each other, while others can have a negative impact. For example, avoid planting garlic next to beans, as this can inhibit the beans' growth. Use planting partners and spacing. Some types of plants benefit from each other when grown next to each other. For example, certain herbs can help keep pests away or encourage the growth of other plants. Be sure to leave enough space between plants to ensure good ventilation and light. By following these tips for successful mixed planting and placement, you can ensure that your raised bed is used to its full potential and that your plants grow healthy and productively. Experiment with different planting combinations and observe the results to get the best results for your raised bed. Which vegetables, herbs or plants can grow in the shade? Some vegetables, herbs and plants also thrive in shadier areas and therefore do well growing in raised beds with less direct sunlight. Here are some options. Leafy vegetables. Spinach. Spinach is a shade-tolerant plant that grows well even in less sunlight. Lamb's lettuce. Lamb's lettuce is a hardy plant that thrives in shady areas and grows quickly. Herbs. Parsley. Parsley is a shade-tolerant plant and can be grown well in raised beds with less sunlight. Chives. Chives are an easy-care plant that thrives even in shady areas. Root vegetables. Radishes. Radishes are fast-growing root vegetables and can thrive in shady areas, although they prefer slightly less sun. Flowers. Daisies. Daisies are hardy flowers that can grow well in shady areas. Pansies. Pansies are another option for flowers that thrive in shady raised beds. Greens. Kale. Kale is a hardy plant that thrives in shadier areas and is a good source of nutrients. Swiss chard. Swiss chard is a shade-tolerant plant and can also be grown in less sunny areas. Mushrooms. Mushrooms. Mushrooms thrive in shady, moist areas and can be grown in special raised mushroom beds. It's important to note that even plants that can thrive in shade still need some sunlight to grow and develop. Make sure your raised bed gets enough light, even if it's not exposed to direct sunlight all day. By growing shade-tolerant plants in your raised bed, you can make the most of the space available and still produce a bountiful harvest. Year-round use of the raised bed. To get the most out of your raised bed year-round, you can grow a variety of plants that thrive in different seasons. Here is a list of plants you can grow in your raised bed each month. January. Winter vegetables such as kale, Savoy cabbage and lamb's lettuce. Hardy herbs such as rosemary, thyme and chives. February. Spinach, radish, winter leek. March. Rhubarb, beetroot, carrots. April. Peas, lettuce, radish. May. Tomatoes, zucchini, cucumbers. June. Paprika, eggplants, bush beans. July. Basil, parsley, zucchini. August. Chard, lamb's lettuce, beetroot. September. Broccoli, kohlrabi, radish. October. Garlic, shallots. Winter leek. November. Kale, Brussels sprouts. Savoy. December. Chicory, endives. Care and watering. Maintaining and watering your raised bed is crucial to the healthy growth of your plants and maximizing your harvest. Here are some tips for maintenance and watering. Soil preparation. Start with good soil preparation by using high-quality garden soil and compost to improve nutrient levels and soil structure. Loosen the soil regularly with a garden claw or cultivator to promote good aeration and drainage. Weed control. Keep your raised bed free of weeds by weeding and mulching regularly. A thick layer of mulch made from straw, leaves or grass clippings can suppress weed growth and retain moisture in the soil. Irrigation. Make sure to water your plants evenly, especially during dry periods, but avoid overwatering as this can lead to root rot. Water your raised bed in the morning or evening to minimize evaporation and keep moisture in the soil. Use drip irrigation systems or irrigation hoses to ensure efficient irrigation and save water. Fertilization. Regularly supplement the nutrient content of your raised bed with organic fertilizer or compost to promote the growth of your plants. Use fertilizers specifically tailored to the needs of your plants and follow the instructions on the packaging to avoid overfertilization. Pest and disease control. Monitor your raised bed regularly for signs of pests or diseases and take timely measures to control them if necessary. Practice crop rotation and keep your raised bed clean to reduce the risk of pest and disease infestation. Harvest and aftercare. Harvest your plants regularly to make room for new seedlings and encourage a continuous harvest. Regularly remove dead or diseased plant parts to prevent the spread of disease. Conduct regular inspections and respond quickly to problems to maintain the health and productivity of your raised bed. By following these care and watering tips, you can ensure that your raised bed stays healthy and provides you with a bountiful harvest of fresh vegetables, herbs and flowers. Cultivation and harvest calendar for the whole year. A year-round planting and harvesting calendar can help you optimize plant selection and plant planning in your raised bed. Here is an example of such a calendar covering the months of the year. January. Cultivation. Winter vegetables such as kale, Savoy cabbage, lamb's lettuce. Harvest. Winter vegetables such as kale, Savoy cabbage, lamb's lettuce. February. Cultivation. Spinach, radishes, winter leek. Harvest. Spinach, radishes, winter leek. March. Cultivation. Rhubarb, beetroot, carrots. Harvest. Radishes, lamb's lettuce, winter leek. April. Cultivation. Peas, lettuce, radishes. Harvest. Rhubarb, beetroot, carrots. May. Cultivation. Tomatoes, zucchini, cucumbers. Harvest. Peas, lettuce, radishes. June. Cultivation. Peppers, eggplants, bush beans. Harvest. Tomatoes, zucchini, cucumbers. July. Cultivation. Basil, parsley, zucchini. Harvest. Peppers, eggplants, bush beans. August. Cultivation. Swiss chard, lamb's lettuce, beetroot. Harvest. Basil, parsley, zucchini. September. Cultivation. Broccoli, kohlrabi, radishes. Harvest. Swiss chard, lamb's lettuce, beetroot. October. Cultivation. Garlic, shallots, winter leek. Harvest. Broccoli, kohlrabi, radishes. November. Cultivation. Kale, Brussels sprouts, Savoy cabbage. Harvest. Garlic, shallots, winter leeks. December. Cultivation. Chicory, endive, winter leek. Harvest. Kale, Brussels sprouts, Savoy cabbage. This calendar serves as a guide for growing and harvesting vegetables, herbs and flowers in your raised bed throughout the year. However, please note that exact growing and harvesting times may vary depending on your location, local climate and the specific conditions in your raised bed. It is important to consider local recommendations and experience and adjust your growing calendar accordingly. Tips and tricks for every season. Of course, the challenges and requirements for growing in a raised bed vary depending on the season and the prevailing climatic conditions. Here are some general tips and tricks for each season. Spring. Beware of frost. Check the weather regularly to spot frost warnings. If necessary, cover your sensitive plants with fleece or a frost protection blanket. Spring pruning. Cut back old, dead plant parts and remove weeds to prepare the raised bed for new growth. Prepare the soil. Loosen the soil and add fresh compost to improve the nutrient supply. Summer. Watering. Make sure your raised bed is adequately watered, especially during hot and dry periods. Use mulch to retain moisture in the soil. Pest control. Check your plants regularly for pests such as aphids or caterpillars and take appropriate control measures if necessary. Harvest time. Harvest your ripe fruits and vegetables regularly to make room for new growth and avoid overproduction. Autumn. Spring sowing. Plant early flowering vegetable and flower seeds for an early harvest next year. Protection from the cold. Cover your sensitive plants with frost protection fleece or a frost protection blanket to protect them from the first frosty nights. Soil amendment. Amend the soil with organic material such as compost or rotted leaves to improve the nutrient supply for next year. Winter. Reduce watering. Reduce the amount of watering during the cold months as plants require less water and the soil dries more slowly. Plant protection. Protect your plants from extreme weather conditions by covering them with frost protection fleece or a frost protection blanket. Planning for next year. Use the winter months to review your growing plan for the coming year. Research new plants, and maintain and repair your raised bed. By following these tips and tricks for each season, you can successfully maintain your raised bed all year round and enjoy a bountiful harvest of fresh vegetables, herbs and flowers. Raised bed mistakes. Here are some troubleshooting tips for common problems and common mistakes when growing in a raised bed. Overwatering. Solution. Make sure your raised bed has adequate drainage to remove excess water. Use irrigation systems such as drip irrigation or irrigation hoses to ensure consistent watering. Allow the soil to dry slightly between waterings to avoid waterlogging. Under irrigation. Solution. Check soil moisture levels regularly, especially during hot and dry periods. Water your plants deeply to ensure water reaches the roots. Use mulch to retain moisture in the soil and reduce evaporation. Nutrient deficiency. Solution. Amend the soil regularly with organic fertilizer or compost to improve the nutrients your plants receive. Conduct a soil analysis to determine which nutrients are lacking and fertilize accordingly. Weed growth. Solution. Remove weeds regularly to prevent them from competing with your plants and taking their nutrients and water. Use mulch to suppress weed growth and retain soil moisture. Pest infestation. Problem solving. Check your plants regularly for signs of pests such as aphids, snails or caterpillars. Use organic pest control products such as neem oil or insecticidal soaps to control pests without harming the environment. Diseases. Problem solving. Watch for signs of disease such as fungal infections, brown rot or powdery mildew. Remove infected plant parts and dispose of them properly to prevent the spread of disease. Use fungicidal sprays as needed to control the spread of disease. Wrong plant selection. Problem solving. Choose plants that suit the climatic conditions in your region and have the right light, soil and water requirements. Consider the space requirements and growth habits of the plants to avoid overcrowding and promote optimal development. By considering these troubleshooting tips and common mistakes, you can improve the health and productivity of your raised bed and enjoy a bountiful harvest of fresh vegetables, herbs and flowers. Pest control. Pest control in a raised bed can be challenging, but there are a variety of methods to control pests without resorting to chemical pesticides. Here are some effective pest control methods. Handpicking. Regularly check your plants for pests such as aphids, slugs or caterpillars and remove them by hand. This can be time-consuming but is an effective way to control infestations. Biological pest control. Use natural enemies such as ladybugs, parasitic wasps or assassin bugs to control pests in your raised bed. These beneficial insects feed on pests and can help reduce their population. Neem oil. Neem oil is a natural insecticide extracted from the seeds of the neem tree. It is effective against a wide range of pests and can be applied as a spray to plants to control pests. Insecticidal soap. Insecticidal soaps are another natural option for pest control. They work by breaking down the insect's outer protective covering and drying them out. However, keep in mind that insecticidal soaps can also affect beneficial insects, so it's important to use them selectively and with caution. Copper tape. Copper tape can be placed around raised beds or individual plants to deter slugs and snails from approaching. The copper creates a small electrical charge that is unpleasant for these pests and deters them from reaching the plants. Plant repellents. Some plants have natural defenses against pests. Plants such as marigolds, basil or lavender can be grown as companion plants to keep pests away and protect the raised bed. Netting and barriers. Use netting or barriers to protect your raised bed from pests such as birds or rodents. These physical barriers prevent pests from accessing your plants and can be an effective solution, especially for larger problems. By using a combination of these pest control methods and regularly monitoring your plants, you can control pests in your raised bed and protect your crops without resorting to chemical pesticides. Tips for harvest preparation. Harvest preparation is an important step to ensure you get the most out of your harvest. Here are some harvest preparation tips. Monitor your plants. Check the condition of your plants regularly to determine if they are ready for harvest. Look for signs of ripeness such as the color, size and texture of the fruit or vegetable. Plan ahead. Make a list of the crops you plan to harvest and plan accordingly. Consider how you plan to use the harvest and what preparation or preservation methods you will use. Prepare your tools. Make sure you have all the necessary tools and equipment for harvesting ready, such as pruning shears, harvesting knife, basket or bucket. Clean your tools to avoid contaminating the harvest. Choose the right time. Harvest your plants at the optimal time, when they taste best and their nutrients are at their highest. Many vegetables are best harvested in the early morning or late afternoon when temperatures are cooler. Prune properly. Prune plants with clean and sharp tools to minimize damage and preserve the crop. Be careful not to damage or crush the plants, as this can affect their shelf life. Sort the harvest. Sort your harvest by size, color or ripeness for better organization and easier storage or preparation. Remove damaged or rotten parts and use only healthy plants. Preserve the harvest. If you have a large harvest or cannot use it all right away, preserve it by canning, freezing or drying. This way you can maintain the freshness and flavor of your harvest for a longer period of time. By following these harvest preparation tips, you can ensure that you get the most out of your harvest and fully enjoy the fruits of your labor. Easy recipes. Greek salad with fresh herbs. Ingredients: tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, onions, olives, feta cheese, fresh herbs, such as parsley, oregano, mint, olive oil, lemon juice, salt and pepper. Preparation: cut the vegetables and cheese into cubes or slices. Finely chop the herbs. Mix everything in a large bowl and season with olive oil, lemon juice, salt and pepper to taste. Caprese salad with homegrown tomatoes. Ingredients: tomatoes, mozzarella cheese, fresh basil leaves, olive oil, balsamic glaze, salt and pepper. Preparation: cut the tomatoes and mozzarella into slices. Place the tomato and mozzarella slices alternately on a plate. Garnish with basil leaves and drizzle with olive oil and balsamic glaze. Season with salt and pepper. Baked vegetables from the raised bed. Ingredients: a selection of vegetables from your raised bed. For example, carrots, zucchini, peppers, eggplant, olive oil, garlic, rosemary, salt and pepper. Preparation: cut the vegetables into bite-sized pieces. Mix the vegetables in a bowl with olive oil, chopped garlic and rosemary. Spread the vegetables on a baking sheet and season with salt and pepper. Bake in the oven at 200 degrees Celsius for about 20-25 minutes or until the vegetables are soft and golden brown. Pesto with fresh basil. Ingredients: fresh basil, pine nuts, garlic, Parmesan cheese, olive oil, salt and pepper. Preparation: place basil leaves, pine nuts, chopped garlic and grated Parmesan cheese in a blender or food processor. Blend slowly and gradually add olive oil until it reaches a creamy consistency. Season with salt and pepper and spread over pasta, bread or vegetables. Grilled vegetable sandwich. Ingredients: various vegetables from the raised bed, for example, zucchini, eggplant, peppers, mushrooms, ciabatta bread, cream cheese, pesto, rocket, olive oil, salt and pepper. Preparation: slice the vegetables and grill them on the grill or in a grill pan with a little olive oil, salt and pepper. Slice the ciabatta bread and spread both sides with cream cheese and pesto. Place the grilled vegetables and rocket on the bottom half of the bread and cover with the top half. Press the sandwich together lightly and serve warm. These recipes are just a few examples of how you can use your fresh produce from your raised bed. Experiment with different ingredients and cooking methods to create delicious meals that make the most of your harvest. Rights and ownership notice. This audiobook is published and distributed by Testbericht-Institut LLC. All copyrights, publishing rights, distribution rights, audio rights, and related intellectual property rights for this work have been lawfully and exclusively acquired by Testbericht-Institut LLC. Testbericht-Institut LLC is the sole and unrestricted rights holder of this audiobook, including the right to reproduce, distribute, publish, monetize, and publicly perform the content on digital platforms such as YouTube. The original manuscript files, source documents, and contractual acquisition records serve as proof of lawful ownership. The original author and/or their authorized representative, Renovatio LLC, has transferred all relevant rights to Testbericht-Institut LLC in accordance with applicable copyright and publishing law. This ownership applies to all current and future uses of this work, including audio, video, and digital publications. Effective date of rights ownership: the 1st of February 2026. Any unauthorized use, reproduction, re-upload, redistribution, or claiming of this content is strictly prohibited. Copyright Testbericht-Institut LLC. All rights reserved.